Knock off Incineroar. Might be a little bit surprised by what item they see being removed. Maybe that'll get in their head. Psychological warfare. I'll protect here and go for the nasty plot. Let's do it. There's a reason Incineroar is widely considered the greatest competitive Pokemon of all time, and I believe at the time that I'm recording this, it is once again the most used in tournaments. I think. I haven't looked closely at the stats. But it's definitely not at the highs that it once was, but it still is right up there at the top of the usage charts. And actually, if we look at Bologna here, we can see it was the most used Pokemon in that event. There actually are a lot of reasons that Incineroar is called the GOAT, but one of them is sheer versatility. Incineroar is known for having a lot of different sets that it can run, even as there are some fairly standard ones that develop over time. It has a very customizable stat spread that you can invest in a bunch of different ways to accomplish different roles. It doesn't hit terribly hard, but it can do non-negligible damage with moves like Flare Blitz and Knock Off in the right circumstances. It gets a ton of utility moves like Parting Shot, Fake Out, Knock Off, Will-O-Wisp, Burning Jealousy, U-Turn if you're running like an Assault Vest set, so Parting Shot isn't an option. Snarl, Helping Hand, Taunt. You can see here in Bologna someone even ran Brick Break, I assume to break through screens. It's a very well-rounded Pokemon, and it can do a lot, and so I thought, let's play around with that by running a bunch of different Incineroar sets in one video. I believe the title of this video is 6 Incineroar. Unfortunately, I cannot make a single team with 6 Incineroar on it, because Species Clause is a thing in VGC, so what I've done instead is I've made 6 teams, each with a different Incineroar set. So it's a little bit more spread out than would be ideal. If there were a casual battle format I could play with an actual team of 6 Incineroar, that would be fun, but I don't think Showdown has that. But every Incineroar a different set, like I said. And I've kept it fairly simple to start. And the first 2 teams are actually tournament teams. The rest I threw together myself. We're going to start with a basic support Incineroar of the kind that I use very often on this channel. I did look for one that had Helping Hands specifically, though, because my go-to 4 moves on Incineroar most of the time, if there's not something specific that I'm doing with them, are Fake Out, Knock Off, Will-O-Wisp, Parting Shot, but I thought I'd mix it up a little bit more than that. Helping Hand Incineroar is kind of fun to boost a powerful attacker like Shadowrun or Calyrex. I thought I'd give it a go. So I found this team from Bologna. Stefano Greppi is the name of the player who used it there, and that's the one we're going to try out first. I thought a little bit about the parameters for this video. I'm thinking 3 battles for each team, and then maybe more if I feel like it. Anyway, I'm gonna keep it simple. Like I said, a pretty standard Incineroar. Helping Hand is not the most common move on it, but we'll give it a go here. Okay. Blood Moon Ursaluna, Iron Valiant, Terrapagos, Ice Rider Calyrex, Rillaboom, and Galarian Moltres. So this team is kind of bulky. It has it does have Tail Room options. I meant to separate them out. It has Tailwind and Trick Room options. Blood Moon Ursaluna, of course, plays well in both of those, and it's probably a Combine Terrapagos with Rillaboom and Iron Valiant helping it set up. I also think I'm going to make a rule for this video that I bring Incineroar to every game. Of course, why would you not? Well, there are plenty of reasons, but we're going to pretend that there aren't. Well, I think Zamazenta sits on the field pretty nicely in this matchup. I can pair it with what? I kind of want to lead Shadowrun or Calyrex, but that thing is really afraid of Terrapagos and Moltres. I could lead Incineroar, actually. That threatens everything in some way or another except Blood Moon or Ursaluna. And Zamazenta threatens that. I probably should bring Ogerpon in case I needed to break through the Terrapagos. And I probably should bring Calyrex, but I kind of want to bring Rillaboom, and they have so many beefy, normal, and dark types that I actually will bring Rillaboom and leave Calyrex behind. So they lead Rillaboom Terrapagos. They're probably looking for Fake Out Calm Mind here. I think the Fake Out would go into Zamazenta, most likely. So I'll protect that. I don't have Protect on Incineroar anyway. Most Incineroar don't run Protect. Of course, some do. If you're watching this video, you've probably seen... I'll try to knock off the Terrapagos. You've probably seen some Wolf Glick, Perish Trap stuff with Incineroar, and he runs Protect because One of Wolfglick's basic protect concept, or Prepare Song concepts he talks about all the time, is that a Perish Trap team should have protect on every Pokemon. I don't have any insight, that's just purely of my own, that's just purely from him. But it is something that I keep in mind the rare time that I try to play Perish Trap. Anyway, they've made this Calyrex pretty vulnerable now, so that's nice. I think I could just Parting Shot, get Incineroar off the field. Maybe I can get Ogerpon in, depending on what the position looks like after this. Okay, they protect the Calyrex with both. Or, they protect the Calyrex, and I targeted it with both. That was okay, because Rillaboom wasn't much of a threat at -1 attack and into these two Pokemon. They U-turn Incineroar, get a little bit of chip on it, get a little bit of chip on their own Rillaboom. Because of the Rocky Helmet. Now they're putting a little bit more pressure on me. But I'm still going to try to get rid of this Calyrex if they'll let me. In fact, I'll attack it with both Pokemon now. What I'm thinking is Rillaboom can help me deal with the Blood Moon Ursaluna afterward. It's also good that I didn't body press the Blood Moon Ursaluna there. I did consider it, but this one is running Terra Ghost. Last I heard, most of them ran Terra Normal. It's possible that my Blood Moon knowledge is outdated. But I wasn't... I mean, if it's not normal, then the next type I would anticipate is Ghost. But I wasn't really anticipating anything other than normal here. Let's see if they let me knock off into it. They might fake out Incineroar, actually, because Zamazenta is under a lot of pressure already. They do go for the fake out into Zamazenta. The Earth Power knocks out Incineroar. Blood Moon Ursaluna being very strong. Not really a shock there. I can get Ogerpon in now, though. I can even Terrastallize it. Then I get the Embody Aspect attack boost. Rillaboom's probably not much of a threat. I can Ivy Cudgel the Ursaluna. I'll target a Body Press into the Rillaboom slot in case they protect or switch Ursaluna. That frees Zamazenta to get some damage into something, whether that's Rillaboom or a Terrapagos switching in. But no, they're keeping the Terrapagos in the back. Ursaluna survives the Ivy Cudgel. What does it go for here? Blood Moon into Ogerpon. That's not ideal. It is a trade. They do lose their Ursaluna to Life Orb damage for that, but... I might still be able to beat this Terrapagos. I'm going to Body Press Rillaboom, and I'm going to fake out into Terrapagos. They'll probably protect Terrapagos. But the attack on Rillaboom is pretty free. They actually don't protect. The grassy terrain will give them their Terra Shell right back, but the key there is that Terrapagos doesn't move while I get rid of the Rillaboom, and now Terrapagos is in a 1v2. They might... Oh, they've already Terrastallized. They can't Terrastallize Terrapagos. Alright, in that case... I'm going to protect Zamazenta. I think they'll try to knock it out. Yeah, there's a Flamethrower. I'll look to break their Terra Shell. And then I can Body Press Terrapagos. And... that's GG. And Incineroar was my first Pokemon to go down in this game, but it did put in work, for sure. Especially dealing with the Ice Rider Calyrex. Clicking knockoff into Terrapagos, and then they switched to their other restricted. Neither one of those wanted to lose its item. Ice Rider also took a lot of damage from it. And removing that massive threat meant that Rillaboom and Zamazenta were able to close the game out. This opponent has both Miraidon and Raging Bolt. That's unusual. They could be running Rising Voltage on Raging Bolt. They also have Therian Landorus, Porygon 2, Ursaluna, and Amoonguss. I don't think Landorus gets Tailwind. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure only Tornadus does out of that quartet, because it's part of how they're themed that Tornadus gets all the wind-based moves, and the others have their other types that their move pools focus on. So I don't think they have Tailwind on this team. I think it's a very Trick Roomy team, but with a Miraidon, make things tougher for opponents to deal with. Bringing Raging Bolt into this seems okay, but I don't know how much I want to be clicking Draco Meteor. I like Rillaboom to change the terrain and threaten Ursaluna. It does have trouble with Landorus, Raging Bolt, and Amoonguss, but I think it's still worthwhile. Can I lead Zamazenta into this? I think I can. Actually, I think I like... Do I like leading my restricteds into this? The two Astral Barrage immunities, one of them being the Trick Room setter, are kind of a problem. I actually think I'd rather lead Ogerpon. And I said I have to bring Incineroar to every game. I almost broke that rule just now, but I remembered. It does mean Calyrex gets the short straw again, but you know, hopefully that won't last too long. I can switch Rillaboom in. I kind of want to just double target this Porygon too. It doesn't work if Miraidon just knocks one of my Pokemon out before it moves, but you know what? Let's see. Denying Trick Room would be very nice here. Ogerpon's faster than Miraidon. I am running max speed, which is, I think, not actually what people run these days, but it's what I know. Porygon 2 is gone. Ursaluna comes in with his burn. They haven't used their Terra, so they could Terra Ghost the Ursaluna. Okay, Raging Bolt is their last Pokemon. I'm down to protect Zamazenta this turn and just Ivy Cudgel Ursaluna. They tried to Thunderclap Zamazenta. They knocked out Ogerpon with a Facade. But we've worn it down some. I think I can just go Rillaboom here. I kind of want to Terra Dragon the Zamazenta. The problem is they can beat that with Miraidon. I think I just have to hope that it takes a hit. I'll go for a Woodhammer to Ursaluna. There's the Terra Ghost. The Body Press is going into Raging Bolt. Woodhammer still picks up the Ursaluna. Now they get Miraidon, and I actually don't know that I beat both of these dragons with what I have left. This turn I'll Protect and switch to Incineroar. That lets me get Rillaboom back in and change the terrain. But yeah, these two are putting out a ton of pressure. It's a little unusual to see these two Pokemon on the same team, but pretty effective right now. Let's see. They finally land the Thunderclap into Zamazenta. They have Parabolic Charge, but because I turned off the Hadron Engine, it doesn't knock out Zamazenta. Zamazenta is now super low. I don't know why they just forfeited. I guess I had a free KO on Miraidon this turn, but no, I didn't. Because they could, I could Fake Out and Body Press Miraidon, but they could Thunderclap Zamazenta, and then the Body Press wouldn't go off. Am I missing something? I feel like they could have won this. Maybe Incineroar would have been hard for them to break. Anyway, one more game with this team. Incineroar once again. Not necessarily the star of the show, but putting in work in that support role. You love to see it. This opponent has Sneasler, probably with an Electric Seed, Ice Rider Calyrex, Miraidon, Whimsicott, Grimmsnarl, and some kind of Urshifu. So this could be a Shadow Rider game, for sure, but it's still tricky. I actually don't mind leading it, though. It's depending on the depending on the Sneasler's coverage, it might be hard for Sneasler to threaten it. And if they don't lead Whimsicott, then it's hard for Miraidon to threaten it. I actually think I can lead with my restricteds this game. And hey, I finally bring both of them to this one. And then I can maybe overwhelm this team with Ogerpon and Incineroar. I think it's worth a try. Probably should have brought Rillaboom, actually, for the Grassy Surge, but oh well. They lead Sneasler Grimmsnarl. This is kind of threatening because they could be running something like Throat Chop Sneasler, but also they can Thunder Wave Calyrex, unless I Terra Dark. But if I Terra Dark, then I'm vulnerable to the Sneasler, so I'm going to switch to Incineroar. Intimidate these, go for a Heavy Slam into Grimmsnarl. I'd like to remove Grimmsnarl quickly if I can. They could be running Fake Out Sneasler. They just Throat Chop into Incineroar. That confirms that they have it, so that's good. They also take Helmet Chip. I don't think they're running a Focus Sash. I think they're running Electric Seed, so no benefit there to a Sash being broken, but still good to get damage on it. Here I can Fake Out Miraidon and Heavy Slam Sneasler. If it clicks Close Combat, it lowers its own defense. It does click close combat. Doesn't do too much to Zamazenta thanks to the Dauntless Shield boost. And it just being bulky in the first place. Sneasler is out of here. Did the Sneasler... The Sneasler didn't have an Electric Seed, did it? Miraidon came in and didn't activate, so it might have actually have had a Focus Sash. In which case the Rocky Helmet chip was valuable. I'll knock off this Calyrex if they'll let me, but... They might just KO Incineroar here. Terra Dark Calyrex. But they also Electro Drift Zamazenta on the same turn. I didn't Terra Dragon there because it didn't seem that helpful in this position, but I actually, if I'd taken the Electro Drift and body pressed the Calyrex, that really would have been something, but I had no way to know. I'm going to go Ogerpon here. I'm going to try to knock off Miraidon, and I'm just going to Spiky Shield, kill a turn of their terrain. There's still another turn of their terrain after this, but okay, they just knock out Incineroar. They take Rocky Helmet Chip because Electro Drift is one of the few special attacks that make contact. Rocky Helmet is, of course, about contact, not about using a physical attack. And Electro Drift is a contact move. And, alright, let's see. Let's see if I get this Ivy Cudgel and do Calyrex. This time Miraidon is faster than Ogerpon, but it went for Electro Drift and a Calyrex. I protected. Ogerpon takes the Glacial Lance. And now I Astral Barrage. I still have the... No, it's Life Orb Calyrex. I don't have a Focus Sash intact. Also, I definitely miscounted turns because the terrain is still up. I think I just have to hope this Astral Barrage KOs their Calyrex. And follow me, so that the Electro Drift doesn't go into my Calyrex. Nope. Astral Barrage, one more Astral Barrage would KO, but I'm not getting one more. So we do end on a loss for this team, but the Incineroar on this team certainly put in work. And now, we're going to move on to team number 2. So, Support Incineroar went 2-1. We're going to move on to team number 2. This is Federico Camporesi's team from Bologna. I haven't really played this kind of team before, so I'm not necessarily sure I know how to use it well, but I wanted to get Assault Vest Incineroar in here. That's another pretty normal standard set before we get into the more heat stuff. So it has, I should actually change its move order because this move order is going to annoy me, but I'm not going to do it now. It has U-turn instead of Parting Shot. It has Knockoff. It has Flare Blitz. Because of course with an Assault Vest it can only throw off attacks. This one's running Terra Bug, which is very standard right now. Let's see what it can do. Fake Out in the last slot might honestly cost me a game because I'm just not used to it, but I hope not. Alright, Zamazenta, Shadow Rider Calyrex, Tornadus, Iron Hands, Female Indeedee, and Qian Pao. I know these Electric Seed Lunala teams are really good, I just don't know that I know how to play them. But we'll find out together whether I know how to play them. Into this matchup, I think I want to bring Miraidon, Lunala, Ursaluna, Incineroar. That way I get the Electric Seed on Lunala immediately, and I also can set Trick Room. Ursaluna should be very threatening into this team. Zamazenta is a little bit of an issue, but seems not insurmountable. And then I have the rule that I'm bringing Incineroar to every game of this video. Plus Incineroar actually might be able to put in some work here. They lead Qian Pao, Zamazenta, very threatening obviously. Usually I'm on the other side of this interaction. I think I want to Volt Switch something. Terra Fairy Lunala. And Trick Room. Do I want to break a possible Sash on the Qian Pao? It could be Life Orb Qian Pao on this team, but I think Sash is still fairly likely. Or is it better to get damage on Zamazenta? I don't know. I'll go for the damage into Qian Pao. They switched Zamazenta out, so that's just as well. Icicle Crash Miraidon, deny the Volt Switch. Probably not the best use of my Terra then, but I will get Ursaluna in here. And it is Life Orb Qian Pao. I'll protect Ursaluna to get the burn, and I'll go for Moonblast into Qian Pao. This could be redirected into Indeedee. They just protect it. Okay. Did they reverse my Trick Room here? They do. Okay, they got me good with that. Can I Earthquake and Wide Guard here? I need Ursaluna to take a hit, but I see no reason I can't Earthquake and Wide Guard here. Wide Guard will, of course, protect Lunala from the Earthquake damage. That way, if they click Follow Me, but they didn't, and they just clean knocked out Ursaluna anyway. Evidence is mounting that I don't know how to play this kind of team, but it's alright. We got our Assault Vest and Incineroar in here, you know? But Icicle Crash does not do so much to Lunala thanks to +1 defense. They never clicked Follow Me. Get rid of Chien-Pao. The Psychic does more, especially the Terrain boost. Knockoff only does half to a DD. Of course, it doesn't have an item anymore because it had the Psychic Seed. I'll just Flare Blitz and Moongeist Beam Zamazenta. Now they Follow Me. But they also just KO Zamazenta. Flare Blitz misses the KO on Indeedee. And we'll just knock off to the bitter end here, but the bitter end is not far off, as that body press is almost a KO. I will get a knockoff into their Calyrex. It definitely has a Focus Sash, since the Chien-Pao doesn't, but they spread some damage around a little bit. And they get... Oh, I was going to say they get style points for closing this out with the Astral Barrage, but actually with the Assault Vest, Incineroar survives that, even at the range it was at, but it drops to a body press. Alright, rough start, but 2 more games with this team. Terapagos, Ice Rider, Blood Moon. This is not the person I just played, right? It's a very similar team, but the Pokemon are in a different order, so it's surely not the same person. Well, Assault Vest and Incineroar could be pretty strong into this. I also like Lunala, for sure. I think the Miraidon Lunala lead is once again pretty reasonable. The Incineroar puts some pressure into it. I also think this time I can bring Urshifu instead of Ursaluna. So let's do that. They lead Indeedee and Calyrex. So they'll get Psychic Terrain, but I should be able to get off a Volt Switch this time. And I'll Moonblast, because they might redirect it. That's why I'm not clicking Moongeist Beam. Of course, Moongeist Beam would do nothing to a DD because it's a normal type. I'll go Incineroar here. It's not Clear Amulet Calyrex. It got intimidated. I kind of want to U-turn the Indeedee. I think that's okay, actually. U-turn the Indeedee and reverse their Trick Room. And then I can get Miraidon back in. They go Ursaluna. Maybe I don't want to get Miraidon back in, but I do knock out the Indeedee. That's good. That gives me terrain control whenever I want it, and takes away the redirection. They might have a Moongus, so takes away at least some of the redirection. I'll go Urshifu here. Once the Trick Room is reversed, it's immediately threatening to Ursaluna. Are they bringing Calyrex back in or someone else? It's Calyrex. Okay. Well, they can't protect. Well, I mean, they can protect, but it doesn't do anything to stop Ursaluna from landing this. Ursaluna... Lunala. I think I want to Moongeist Beam the Ursaluna slot. Sorry, I know. I always mess up my bear names. I'm talking about Urshifu. Urshifu is not that threatened by their Calyrex. I do think I want to Moongeist Beam the Ursaluna slot, because if they Terra Ghost like that other opponent, I still get a lot of damage into it. They protect. So the Moongeist Beam will still do damage, because it'll be redirected into Calyrex. Ursaluna does not Terrasilize. It drops to the super effective Surging Strikes. Calyrex takes a bunch. Not running a weakness policy. For a second there I was worried. I have seen weakness policy Calyrex recently. We got Terapagos last. It's Banded Urshifu. It's locked into the Surging Strikes. I think it's worth it for me to pivot to Incineroar here. Incineroar can take a hit from Terapagos, no problem, with the Assault Vest, and intimidating the Calyrex is nice, and I can reverse their Trick Room again, probably. You think they read this and click Trick Room with Calyrex again, so that I reverse it and then they bring it right back, or vice versa? No, they went Zen Headbutt into Incineroar. Okay. Ooh, Dark Pulse on the Terapagos, though. Lunala surviving thanks to the Shadow Shield. I'll fake out Terapagos and Moongeist Beam Calyrex. That way they can't just protect Calyrex and knock out Lunala. They don't protect anyway, so the Moongeist Beam will pick up the Calyrex, and there's no way Terapagos wins it from here. Clutch fake out from Incineroar, it could have been, but it didn't matter, but it easily could have in that position. And that's now, I think, 1-1 with this team, so one more game. Incineroar putting in a lot of work so far throughout the video. Miraidon, Urshifu, Calyrex, Ice Rider form, Farigiraf, Rhyperior, and Incineroar. So the Rhyperior disincentivizes my Miraidon, obviously. Although, Electric Terrain... Well, Electric Terrain might be nice still because it boosts Lunala. On the other hand, they might give me Electric Terrain. It does feel kind of reasonable to think about not bringing Miraidon. I think that I should still bring Miraidon, but maybe not lead with it this time. I could lead Ursaluna, Lunala. They might be able to stop that with some kind of Urshifu lead or something, but... Or Incineroar actually is the bigger problem. What's Rhyperior's speed? Rhyperior can be faster than Ursaluna, so good chance... Or slower than Ursaluna, so good chance it is. Maybe I don't want Trick Room this game. Maybe I want Tailwind. I haven't brought that mode yet. They don't have honestly, Tailwind, Miraidon lead, despite what I said earlier. I could Dazzling Gleam, maybe catch Rhyperior on a switch. I'll bring Lunala, and I'll bring Incineroar, because of course. Hey, I've gotten all three of the non-restricted, non-Incineroar Pokemon on this team into one game. This looks pretty hard to deal with, though. I mean, I guess I can Light Screen. And I think I do Dazzling Gleam, if only because... The Light Screen will help Miraidon take a hit from their Miraidon, but I think I do Dazzling Gleam, if only because, as much tempting as it is to just Electro Drift something right now, Rhyperior could always switch in. And then that would make my Miraidon very sad, as the Electro Drift would do nothing, and, well, it would boost Rhyperior at a stat it doesn't use, so practically do nothing, and I'd be locked into the move. Alright. They're thinking, but they're almost out of time. Let's see it. They Electro Drift into Miraidon. That's smart. We take that thanks to the Light Screen. Knock out their Miraidon with the Dazzling Gleam. They go straight for Trick Room. They go straight for Farigiraf. That Calyrex is a giant threat now. I can switch Incineroar in. Honestly, it might be worth double switching just so the Calyrex doesn't get a KO immediately. I can't even Encore it because they brought in Farigiraf, right? So it'll stop the priority Encore. Otherwise, that would be very strong here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to switch in both of my Pokemon to the back. Neither one should be KO'd by Calyrex immediately. They go Rhyperior. Having Wide Guard available could be very useful now as well. But they could just... They might be able to just high horsepower into Incineroar or something, but... Is this Electric Seed Calyrex? It was. That's why it's intimidated. In that case, better to click Flare Blitz here than Knock Off. They switch it out. Well, still get a Flare Blitz into Farigiraf potentially. Are they clicking Rock Slide? No, Rock Wrecker. Alright, I didn't see that one coming. Rhyperior will have to recharge now, but Farigiraf is potentially threatening a foul play into something. And it will definitely underspeed my team. They might not have foul play. Rhyperior has... They have Ally Switch. Okay, well the good news from that is that Lunala is not KO'd, and now I can reverse their Trick Room. But the Rock Wrecker is a big problem from here. I guess I'll Moongeist Beam Rhyperior to get some damage on it, and we'll just knock off the Farigiraf. If they click Ally Switch again, they have a chance to fail. They don't. Moongeist Beam clean knocks out Rhyperior. Knockoff KOs Farigiraf, and that's GG. 2-1 with the first team with Support Incineroar. 2-1 despite a rough start with Assault Vest Incineroar. And up next, What did I put next? Oh, Fast Incineroar is a thing that people use sometimes that has some value, so I thought I'd slap a Choice Scarf on it. This one's going to have a way faster parting shot than people are anticipating. I am not running Fake Out because being choice locked into that seems like a nightmare. But I do have a Sun team so that Incineroar can get some extra damage on that Flare Blitz, which of course will also come out at Choice Scarf speed. And then Terra Ghost so that it can't be faked out if I Terrastallize it. Let's see Scarf Incineroar cook. I would fully expect these teams to get worse over time in this video. The first two were other people's tournament teams, and now we're getting a little more creative with Incineroar, as the very nature of the Pokemon makes so very easy to do. This person is a Murkrow and a Alomomola, though, so I don't think they can bash me for being creative. Well, let's do Groudon Jumpluff lead Incineroar. I kind of want to lead Incineroar Groudon. I'm just worried about their Tailwind and not getting my Tailwind up to match it. It doesn't really matter that much, though, because I don't have priority Tailwind and they do. Let's lead Incineroar Groudon. I'll bring Jumpluff. And honestly, there's a case for any of these. I think Alomomola gets Wide Guard, right? I'll bring Raging Bolt. Okay, Alomomola and Miraidon against Incineroar and Groudon. Not the worst starting position for me. It's not like Alomomola should be an offensive threat into Groudon here. It is Swords Dance Groudon so that it can take advantage of Incineroar weakening opponents. I think it might be worth clicking a Swords Dance here. And I could Parting Shot out to Jumpluff. Or I can Snarl. I think Parting Shot's okay. Get my Tailwind on the board. I'll just click Swords Dance. We'll see if Groudon drops a Draco Meteor or something. No, they just switched to Ice Rider Calyrex. But they have a clear Amulet, so that'll stop my Parting Shot. That is actually really... Oh, okay. That is actually really awkward because now I'm choice locked into Parting Shot. So I would love to pivot to just clicking a Knockoff or a Flare Blitz into this Calyrex, but I cannot. And Precipice Blades, I think they stop with Wide Guard. I guess I'll Parting Shot into a Alomomola because there's not much else to be done with my Incineroar slot right now. And I guess I'll Heat Crash into the Calyrex. 40 base power? I don't know if it's worth it. You know what? I'll make them prove that they have Wide Guard. Terra Fire. No Wide Guard. It protects though. They have so many ground weaknesses, but I'll make them prove that they have Wide Guard. Let's see. Remember, Protect has a chance to fail if you just used Wide Guard, but Wide Guard does not have a chance to fail if you just use Protect. Wide Guard adds to the Protect counter, but is not affected by it, so they will fully stop the attack if they do that, yeah. Alright. Alright. I need to get this Alomomola out of here. Let's see Raging Bolt. This doesn't work, does it? Because I can just Draco Meteor or Dazzling Gleam my Raging Bolt. Well, we'll go down swinging. They Wide Guard. They Volt Switch Groudon, knocks it out. I never got to take advantage of the Swords Dance. Removing the Raging Bolt doesn't seem so appealing now. Or removing the Alomomola, I mean. But I do finally do it. And hey, I was surprised at the preview that they had an Alomomola, but can't deny that it put in some work against me here. Scarf Incineroar still might be slower than their Miraidon. That's kind of sad, to be honest. Might have something to do with why nobody's running Scarf Incineroar. Oh well. Why did I click Flare Blitz? It's a fire type. Oh well. They baited my Draco Meteor nicely. Leech Seed. I guess I'll just pivot Raging Bolt out and sack Jump Bluff. But yeah, I kind of shut myself out of ever beating this Calyrex. Clicking Flare Blitz there was just not good. Yeah, it's all up to Raging Bolt, and Raging Bolt is not going to be able to handle this, but that's okay. The last team also started with a loss. That was a crit, wow. Alright. Let's see if Scarf Incineroar can still do something here. This person has a Koraidon. Once again, it might be faster than an Incineroar. They also have a Smeargle, and I can't fake it out because I don't have Fake Out. Tornadus Rillaboom, Raging Bolt, and Shadow Rider Calyrex. I would like to bring my own Shadow Rider Calyrex. I would like to bring Jump Bluff. I would like to bring Groudon. So I guess that's all my decisions made. I kind of still have no concept when I'm planning a video of how long these battles take, even though I really should by now. I just checked how long this recording has been, and it's longer than I realized, and I'm not halfway through the battles. But hey, stick around to the end. I promise these Incineroar teams only get more out there as I go. I started on the normal end. On Jump Bluff against Tornadus and Calyrex. That means they can Tailwind and Astral Barrage and deny my Tailwind effectively. I can Terra Dark Jump Bluff actually. Honestly, I think it might be worth it. I'll switch to Incineroar. Terra Dark Jump Bluffs at Tailwind. Incineroar isn't too bothered about taking the Astral Barrage, I don't think. They tried to Prankster Taunt Jump Bluff. Not gonna work. Calyrex is at boosted special attack now. I'm just going to click Knock Off and Pollen Puff into that. Pollen Puff to break Sash that it probably has. It might not have a Sash actually because of Smeargle, but I'm not confident that it doesn't. They switch to Koraidon. Does Calyrex just protect here? Yeah. Alright. In that case, I'm going to say it probably doesn't have a Sash. It probably doesn't have a Sash. I'll still Knock Off, but I'll Sleep Powder Koraidon. Better really take advantage of this. Oh, okay, fair enough. It was Life Orb Calyrex. That Astral Barrage does a lot now. I also missed the Sleep Powder, so there goes Jump Bluff. I could go to my Calyrex, but what's my threat into their Calyrex? So I guess I go Groudon. I stall out my Tailwind. That'll be GG. I never beat their Calyrex now. That's 4. Hey, I won the speed tie. If it was a speed tie. It was probably a speed tie. I won that, if not the game. Why'd they click Collision Course into Shadow Rider Calyrex? I guess they forgot I'd already used my Terra. But getting another crack at the Astral Barrage is still not enough to knock either of these out. That's a little sad. GG to that opponent, on to the next. Okay, a Weezing team. Alright. Well, I might not lead Weezing. No, I'll lead my Restricteds actually. Because both of them are very threatening into this team, except the Brute Bonnet is threatening into my Calyrex. But hey, so be it. Maybe they'll let me get rid of it and create an opening for my Calyrex later in the game. One way to find out. Protecting the Koraidon, I like to see that. Oh, is it going to spore me? Yeah. Okay, damage powder. I was thinking about clicking Pollen Puff into Brute Bonnet to try to knock it out, but I figured Tailwind was important. I can Flare Blitz Brute Bonnet now. And Groudon might wake up. It is possible now that I've taken that first sleep turn. It's also not Clear Amulet Koraidon, because it's going to be Ability Shield Koraidon on this team, of course, so it's intimidated. I just recorded a video where I faced Levitate Galarian Weezing. It had Levitate instead of Neutralizing Gas, and I didn't notice that the Neutralizing Gas text wasn't there, so I clicked Earth Power into it. What if this is Levitate Weezing all this time, and I'm all in my head about the Neutralizing Gas? That would really be something. Okay. I can Flare Blitz Koraidon here. The Calyrex, if Groudon wakes up... okay, I guess I should have just kept it simple and Flare Blitz the Calyrex. There goes the last turn of Tailwind. Yeah, I guess I just kind of threw. But hey, I think that was maximum sleep turn, so it was at least close. And had that just not happened... I'm going to say they double protect here. I was wrong. Okay. I could have just Astral Barraged. I guess I still lose to a Moongus. Alright, this team didn't win a single game. This specific game was probably the best that Scarf Incineroar looked. I just should have kept it simple and Flare Blitz their Calyrex instead of counting on Groudon to wake up when it didn't yet have to. But yeah, I think we can see why Scarf Incineroar is not showing up much in the meta. And we're now halfway through the teams, and I said that it's only going to get weirder from here. Number 4 is Swords Dance Incineroar. It's time to see Incineroar doing some real damage of its own. So I was going to get those boosts. I got the Clear Amulet on Incineroar. Koraidon doesn't need it anyway. And I have Flame Charge for some speed control. Let's see what Swords Dance Incineroar can do. Zamazenta, Breastcelia, Incineroar. Oh no, they have their own Incineroar. They can intimidate mine. No, they can't. I have the Clear Amulet. They can knock off my Incineroar though. What's my Terra type? Okay. Dragonite, Tinglu, Miraidon. I'm gonna bring Incineroar, Koraidon, Calyrex, Rillaboom. Koraidon is an immediate threat, and hopefully it can give cover for Incineroar to set up. That's the idea here. That is multi-scale Dragonite. It just got intimidated. I'm gonna click the Swords Dance immediately. Try to start cooking. I don't want to just close combat Tinglu. Alright. Oh, Terra Ghost. Well, at least I don't take the defense drops. It's a Tailwind, the Earthquake. Oh, that does so much. I don't want to let them extreme speed my Incineroar. This is a terrible use of my Terra, but I want it to do something, you know? Scale Shot into Koraidon. I guess if they have Tailwind up, they don't really need to extreme speed me. Yeah, they just KO Incineroar anyway. We got the setup, but couldn't do anything with it. Well, we know it's not inner focus Dragonite. Flinch it this turn. That Earthquake doesn't do too much thanks to the grassy terrain nerf. It actually crit both of my Pokemon, but even still, look at the damage. Not amazing for them. There's not really anything useful for Rillaboom to do here. I'll just try to cover a switch. Astral Barrage. They have Ice Spinner to get rid of the terrain. But I do get the Astral Barrage next, and it's the last turn of Tailwind. I get to +1. Dragonite is actually knocked out by that Wood Hammer. Through the double resistance. They can't get Tailwind back up, but they have this, so they can Wide Guard. So I'm going to Psychic instead of Astral Barraging, and actually Miraidon goes first, which I believe means it's Scarfed. So fair enough. They got me with some surprise attacks here for sure. Scarf Miraidon is not that surprising anymore. I'm running into it often. But the Tinglu Dragonite stuff was kind of new to me. Alright. Let's see if Swords Dance Incineroar can cook somebody else. Oh, Giratina. It's the Giratina stuff. Okay. Origin Giratina. Physical spam. With Zamazenta, Chien-Pao, Entei. All these threats. So Intimidate is nice into this team. Incineroar is nice into this team. Entei, of course, can't be intimidated because it runs Inner Focus. I'm down to try the Incineroar Koraidon lead again. Bring Calyrex and maybe Raging Bolt to this one. Because Rillaboom is just not doing much into a lot of these. I could bring Single Strike or Shifu. I think that's actually better, yeah. But hey, hopefully Swords Dance Incineroar just goes to town this time. It's no mystery why people don't use Incineroar as a big damage dealer, but hey, worth a shot, right? Sure, they don't see it coming. They lead Zamazenta with her Shifu. Pretty much the last stuff Incineroar wants to see. I guess I can just switch to Calyrex here, save the Incineroar for later. I could Terra Ghost, but I don't think I need to use it just yet. I'll go for a close combat into their Shifu. That thing's a huge threat. They Terra Ghost the Zamazenta. Good thing okay, they misclicked their close combat, I assume. But if they were trying to target Incineroar, it doesn't matter. It wouldn't have worked anyway. But good thing I went for my close combat into her Shifu instead of Zamazenta, I suppose. I could actually go for Shifu here. Wicked Blow the Zamazenta. Keep Incineroar in the back for the late game. They go Chien-Pao. I'll just protect Calyrex and Wicked Blow Zamazenta this turn. I don't really want to Terrasilize Calyrex. Maybe I do actually. I don't think the Terra is going to be that useful in Incineroar at this point. But that's a next turn. That could be a next turn decision. Zamazenta actually just drops to the Wicked Blow. That move always critting is beneficial to me here. They bring in Giratina. And hey, Incineroar survived to the end of this battle, but I wouldn't really say that it put in any work. Good thing there's one more battle left to play with this team. Against an opponent with Shadow Rider, Calyrex, Teal Mask, Ogerpon. Haven't seen one of those in a while. Zacian Incineroar. Presumably Rapid Striker, Shifu, and Pelipper. This is tricky because I don't really... Well, maybe I can Terrasilize Koraidon in this one. I was going to say I don't really want to, but actually I don't think there's much need to Terrasilize Incineroar in this one. I don't know if I want to lead Koraidon because the Pelipper is such a threat, but perhaps I can do that with Raging Bolt. And then bring my Calyrex and Incineroar. They lead Zacian Ogerpon. Okay. So Terrifier, Koraidon immediately goes kind of crazy here. Raging Bolt is in some danger. I think I just want a Flare Blitz. I might find myself switching Koraidon out when the Pelipper shows up anyway. I'll protect Raging Bolt. They might protect Zacian. But if they let me at least force Zacian off the field, then Raging Bolt can probably be a menace. Might depend on what moves the Ogerpon has as well. They do protect Zacian. What does Ogerpon do? Could have knocked it out. Superpower into Koraidon. Okay. That doesn't do too terribly much damage, and it weakens itself. I guess I can pivot to Incineroar to preserve the Raging Bolt. Because there's not really... I mean, Superpower is a bit of a threat into Incineroar, but it'd be -2 at this point after Intimidate. No, Teal Mask Ogerpon gets Defiant. I really haven't seen one in a while, I forgot. But it's okay, they switched it out. There's the Pelipper. It's Terra Water Zacian. They missed their Play Rough. They take Koraidon is so strong. They take 20% from that Flare Blitz in Rain after turning into a Water type. Koraidon is also badly out of position now, though. I guess I'll just go down swinging. I don't want to switch Calyrex in and potentially just lose it. I'm going to make a slightly risky switch to Raging Bolt. I think the Zacian attacks the Koraidon slot. They go back to Ogerpon. They actually protect Zacian. Okay. I can get Incineroar back in now. Might come in on a Superpower, but we'll take that risk. For a chance to preserve Koraidon. I'll Thunderclap the Zacian. They might not let me just do that, but it'd be nice if they do. Yeah, I know it has Defiant. We're living with it. They actually Terra Blast Incineroar, but they use Follow Me with Ogerpon, so... Don't get any damage into Zacian. This Zacian is just sitting here forever, being a menace. Try to get rid of this Ogerpon if I can. Sun up, get my Photosynthesis. Follow Me. Water Terra Blast into Koraidon. Survives thanks to the sun. Draco Meteor KOs Ogerpon. The problem is Raging Bolt has now weakened itself, so it's still not as threatening into Zacian as I'd like it to be. And the Pelipper is back. I guess I'll sack Incineroar here. It'd be bad for me if they set Tailwind, but I don't know. They had a chance to do that before and they didn't. And hey, they can't redirect my Thunderclap anymore. That much is nice. Unfortunately, Incineroar is just not the win con here. It's probably Raging Bolt or Calyrex. So I'm playing Incineroar like this instead of going for the Swords Dance. Kind of turning it into a support Incineroar by default, even though that wasn't the intention. I've already used my Terra. I'll gamble on a Speed Tie. Yeah, they can switch that in. Oh, okay. Yeah, now they can Wide Guard if they want. Ugh. There's the Wide Guard. I lose the Speed Tie. But I do have a Sash on this one. So I'll get another shot at it. After KOing Pelipper here. And I get Raging Bolt back in. I think I Thunderclap the Calyrex because I'm all in on this Speed Tie, and the Thunderclap can break its Sash. I guess they can beat this by protecting Calyrex here. But they don't. But they win the Speed Tie. Alright. Well. That one was close. Swords Dance Incineroar didn't work at all. But, if you want to see offensive Incineroar keep trying to go to work, I have good news for you. Because Incineroar, of course being a Dark type, being based on a heal, a bad guy wrestler, while you might not remember, It makes perfect sense that, in fact, it also learns Nasty Plot. Last Nasty Plot, Life Orb, Terra, Ground, Incineroar. Let's go. That is team number 5. Is it going to work any better than Swords Dance? Nah, probably worse, but we're trying things today. The awkward thing is, I had Flamethrower at first, and then I decided I wanted Burning Jealousy somewhere on one of these teams. That does mean that it can be stopped by Zamazenta Wide Guard. Whoops. But we'll see. Koraidon, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Cresselia, Landorus, Therian Form. A lot of Therian Landorus today. And Whimsicott. Well, Koraidon is pretty strong in the lead here. I do have the Clear Amulet on this one because the Life Orb is on Incineroar, so they can't even intimidate it. Koraidon Scarf Chiyu looks pretty strong here. Bring Incineroar. Do I have to match my opponent's Tailwind? I don't think I have to. And Calyrex. Maybe I have to. Alright, they lead Landorus and Zamazenta, so they can Wide Guard. Stop my Heat Wave. But I can just overheat the Landorus. Terrifier, Flame Charge, Zamazenta. I'm making Koraidon weak to ground, but not a problem. As long as I landed the overheat, which I did. Okay, here's their Whimsicott. I'll Flame Charge that, and I'll take the opportunity, I think, to pivot Chiyu out of here. Maybe I should just click overheat into Zamazenta, but okay. Terra Dragon. Just as well that I didn't overheat it. That body pressed us so much. It's Sash Whimsicott. Don't see that one too often right now. Let's try to get rid of it. %30 burn chance. I don't know if I've ever gotten a Scorching Sands burn in my life, but let's try. It's Endeavor. Whimsicott knocks Incineroar down to 1 HP. They knock out Koraidon. Incineroar drops the Life Orb damage. No Scorching Sands burn. And I'm left with these two, but my opponent has Tailwind. And I didn't bring my Tailwind. And it's a Whimsicott, so I can't even safely click Protect in front of it. I guess I'll just Heat Wave. I guess I'll just Dark Pulse. I guess I'll just Heat Wave. I guess I'll... If they Wide Guard, they're not attacking. I guess I'll Heat Wave. And Psychic Zama... I guess I'll Heat Wave and Astral Brush. And there's the Endeavor. They went Heavy Slam into Calyrex, so they didn't take a KO this turn. I will knock out the Whimsicott. Now I can protect Calyrex next turn. Might be too little too late, but the option exists. Here's their Koraidon. They probably just take the KO on Chiyu here, and then Calyrex unboosted can't beat them next turn. Yeah. Oh well. Unless I take a hit from Zamazenta, or they Wide Guard and I don't have to take a hit. Wait, okay, we win. Can't say Nasty Plot and Incineroar accomplished a whole lot. It didn't even get the... Oops. I was trying to cancel and click Astral Barrage, not that it matters. It didn't even get the Scorching Sands burn, but... Oh, they forfeited. I didn't get the attack off anyway. Alright. Will Incineroar get to click a Nasty Plot in this video? Probably not against this team. Kyogre, Archaludon, White Kyurem, Grimmsnarl, Raichu, and Incineroar. That is hard to deal with, I think. Terra Ground Incineroar, too. There's no way it stands up to Kyogre. I'm running Terra Ground Incineroar, I mean. Actually, I don't have much of a Kyogre answer at all, except Raging Bolt. And they have Raichu. I guess I have Koraidon. But I don't have a manual Sunny Day anywhere. I think I'm down to lead Jumpluff, Raging Bolt. Do I need... I probably need both my restricteds, actually. I think I can live without Jumpluff. Let's just lead my restricteds. And then weather control will dictate how I play this. They don't get weather immediately. They do lead with their Incineroar. I'm down to go straight for a collision course into this Q room slot. They could fake out Koraidon, but if they don't, their Kyogre doesn't want to switch in on that. Even though it'll turn off Orcal Compulse. They actually just let me have their Kyurem, okay. Knock off Incineroar. Might be a little bit surprised by what item they see being removed. Maybe that'll get in their head. Psychological warfare. I'll protect here and go for the nasty plot. Let's do it. They fake out Koraidon. Perfect. Particle shot into Incineroar. That's pretty funny. Still +1 special attack. Do they have Kyogre in the back? Is that their last Pokemon? It's the one I least want to see, but I'm sure it's what it is. Yeah, of course. Of course. I think I just take what damage I can on it right now, to be honest. Or maybe I want to get the damage on Raichu, because then I can more easily win with Raging Bolt. You know what? Maybe they click Calm Mind. No, they're not clicking Calm Mind. If they did, then Incineroar would survive the turn and Burning Jealousy would KO Kyogre. Also, that is, that has to be Scarf Kyogre, right? So the good news is Raging Bolt actually kind of works here because Kyogre is not going to switch moves. The problem is Koraidon doesn't take another Water Spout. So the only way I get rid of Raichu this turn is with Draco Meteor, and then Raging Bolt weakens itself, but I mean, so be it. It's Endeavor Raichu. Why is everyone running Endeavor today? Does Incineroar get Endeavor? Maybe I should have tried that. Now they have Fake Out Pressure. I'll go for the double Protect with Koraidon. Got it. They definitely... Well, I'll Thunderclap Kyogre here. They can't do anything about it. They'll definitely still knock out Koraidon, right? Before it can Collision Course into Incineroar? Yeah. And then my Calyrex just loses to Incineroar. There was probably a way to save this, but... maybe I needed to sack Calyrex, get Raging Bolt back in. I think that's correct, actually. Well, I still have the... Still have the Terra Dark, actually, so... Might not be quite over just yet. Kyogre will go first. That Water Spout still does so much, yeah. I think I needed to recognize that Calyrex was just not going to win this one. And sack it to get rid of the Draco Meteor drop on Raging Bolt. Play might be getting a little bit sloppy an hour in here, but I hope not, because there's one more Nasty Plot in Incineroar, and then there's one more Nasty Plot in Incineroar game, and then there's the team that I find most interesting in this video, I'll say that. Alright, Calyrex Shadow Rider form. Not the usual one paired with Miraidon, but here it is. With Miraidon. Hearthflame Mask, Ogerpon, Rillaboom, Incineroar, and Iron Hands. I want Tailwind. I want... Chi-Yu? Chi-Yu is very threatening to almost everything they can throw at me right away. Probably have to lead Koraidon. That would also mean leaving my Calyrex behind. You know what? I think it's just time for Incineroar to measure up. No Chi-Yu. I have a different Fire and Dark type special attacker here. Time for offensive Incineroar to finally do something, I think. Once my opponent has locked in their choices, of course. Which will really happen very soon. We're almost out of time. Uh-oh. Come on, Robert. Really Calyrex me right on. That's hard to deal with. I'll just take damage on Miraidon if I can and set Tailwind. They're putting on a ton of offensive pressure, but the good news is I have Tailwind and they don't. So even if they quickly knock out Miraidon here, I have some threats in the back. You know, Calyrex and that other threat that I have in the back as well. You know the one. Are they taking maximum time? Is this one of those opponents who take maximum time at every turn? I mean, they're entitled to do that. This is going to make this video even longer. Good damage. Psyshock, okay. Curious targeting choice. Kinda want to go Incineroar. It might be a throw, but this is but if I want to get that nasty plot, I think this is the time. Threatening a KO on Miraidon. What's the Calyrex going to do about it? Obviously, it would be much more optimal to bring my Calyrex in and start snowballing with Astral Barrage, but if Nasty Plot Incineroar is ever going to put in work, this is the time. Guess we wait 30 seconds for Robert to lock something in. How's everybody's day been? I was going to ask how's the weather where you are, but if you're in the northern hemisphere, I probably have a pretty good guess. And if you're in the southern hemisphere... Wow, it's winter over there. That's weird. It's actually not very hot here. It's been kind of cloudy and rainy the last few days, which is nice. I am not a hot weather guy. I like the relief from it. Anyway, Miraidon survived that turn. Speaking of weather, nice and hot and sunny in this game. But yeah, I went out yesterday evening, got some ice cream, and there were people walking around in sweaters and light coats. But it was still warm enough that I was perfectly comfy without that. So that's my ideal kind of weather. And it had been raining a little bit earlier in the day, but it wasn't at all at that point. In my part of Canada, we have had wildfires. 2 years ago, we had some pretty bad wildfires in this area, but that's actually the only time that I know of. Most of the wildfires are out west, so that's not too big a concern here. Alright, got my nasty plot. Kinda want to click Burning Jealousy. And you know what? What's this Ogre Pawn going to do to Incineroar? I'm going to click Flame Charge into Calyrex to break a focus sash. I'm going to click Burning Jealousy. Yeah, so I'm not the biggest summer weather guy, but at least I'm not in the part of this country that burns down every summer. Not trying to make light of it, it's serious stuff. We do get hurricanes sometimes, usually later in the season, like early September or so. Those can be kind of rough. There goes Calyrex. Incineroar takes that Ivy Cudgel nicely, and who is their last Pokemon? We'll find out in about 30 seconds. Actually, I don't see the 30-second notice. 30 seconds from now. Two years ago was a crazy fire season. I went to NAIC in Columbus, Ohio, 2 years ago. And it got better, but the day that I arrived, the city was just full of smoke that had all blown down from Canada. This could fake something out, but let's avoid the spread damage nerf and just try to get rid of this Ogre Pawn with either Collision Course or... I guess I could Spiky Shield, but either Collision Course or Dark Pulse, if I can. Incineroar is about to lose the speed advantage from the Tailwind, but I do have Calyrex after that. But I guess they're threatening Grassy Glide. Yeah, that trip to Columbus, like every time I got in an Uber or something, and if I said where I was from, people would be like, well, they do one of two things. They would either name drop a hockey player from my area, or they would say like, the hockey player one happened less often. The more frequent one was like, oh, how are you doing with the fires up there? How you guys doing with all that smoke? It's even coming down here, and it was. I could see it when I flew in. I actually want to win this with Burning Jealousy if I can. Not going to Terra Ground in front of a Rillaboom, of course. So we don't get to show that. Later on in the trip, I had some people mistake me as a local Ohioan, because the airline lost my bag when I was flying in, and I bought some. I got my bag back the next day, but I didn't know in advance that I would. So I went to a Walmart and bought some clothes, and one of them was a T-shirt with a big Ohio written on it. And so people saw me wearing an Ohio T-shirt and thought I was from Ohio. Needless to say, I don't wear that right now. Hopefully again someday. Anyway, we beat Robert, and Nasty Plot and Incineroar put in work. I guess we take those. And now, you've seen standard Rocky Helmet support, you've seen Assault Vest, you've seen Choice Scarf, you've seen Sword Stance, you've seen Nasty Plot. Safe to say some of those were better than others, but my personal favorite, Incineroar, that I'm going to try out today. I don't think it's going to be good, but I think I'm going to enjoy trying it. Bulk Up Power Trip. Power Trip, if you don't know, is a physical Dark-type stored power clone. It's not super widely distributed. I don't think Stored Power is either. If you don't know what that does, either one, Stored Power, which is the special Psychic type one, or Power Trip, which is the physical Dark type one, starts at 20 base power, but it gets stronger for every stat boost that the Pokemon has. So if you boost attack, you get the extra damage from boosting your attack, but you also get the extra damage from the fact that Power Trip is just more powerful if you have stat boosts on your Pokemon. So, Bulk Up Power Trip Incineroar is going to boost its main attack with both the attack boost from Bulk Up and the defense boost from Bulk Up. I have a weakness policy, so I can get even more boosts on the Power Trip. I have Drain Punch to help keep Incineroar healthy while also taking advantage of the attack boosts. I thought about putting something like Decorate or Acupressure on this team, but I guess I just wasn't feeling it. But I do have Rillaboom for Fake Out Pressure and Grassy Terrain healing. I have Grimmsnarl to set screens. Hopefully Incineroar can sit on the field for a while and go to work. Having offensive threats like Shadow Rider Calyrex and Rapid Strike Urshifu on a team ought to help create openings as well. I'm not confident that this is going to work, but I really want to see... This does not look like a good matchup for it. I really want to see Bulk Up Power Trip Incineroar do something. I think the Bulk Up setup might be kind of slow for this format. As I stare down this Kyogre, feels like that might be a problem. This could be Calm Mind Kyogre, though, if they have Sinistcha with it. I think I'm going to lead Zamazenta and Grimmsnarl. Or I could do Urshifu and Grimmsnarl. Hot take, I think I'm going to bring Urshifu instead of Calyrex. Actually, I don't think I am going to do that because I don't think I have enough for the Sinistcha at this point. At that point, I actually would like to bring Urshifu. Kyogre setting up the rain for me means Surging Strikes does a lot of damage into it. And of course I can outspeed their Calyrex with the Scarf. But they have the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon to redirect that threat, and also I think I just need to make sure I have enough for Sinistcha, so I'll bring Calyrex. And of course Urshifu's Shifu's not mandatory, Incineroar is mandatory. They lead Hitmontop Kyogre. They can... So the Intimidate is not too big an issue because Zamazenta mainly uses defense stat to do damage. But they can fake out Zamazenta right now. Therefore, I'll protect it. I'll go for Light Screen with Grimmsnarl, try to offset the Origin Pulse. Or, Origin Pulse, the Calm Mind that I think is coming. Could just be a big Water Spout, in which case Light Screen is also helpful. I am not running an attack on Grimmsnarl. Not the comfiest choice, but given that I have Pokemon that are meant to sit on the field for a while and do big damage, I'm hoping that I can get away without it. Grimmsnarl's probably going to be knocked out before Zamazenta or Incineroar is in at least some matchups. And if not, then the team isn't working the way I want anyway, so what am I going to do about it? I went Ice Beam, probably anticipating a Wide Guard. I'll go for the Body Press now. The Light Screen really ought to help Zamazenta take a Water Spout, I would think. And they're still going for Ice Beam. They might be Choice Locked. I thought this was Calm Mind Kyogre because I figured the Sinistra and the Ogerpon were here to help keep it healthy to set up, but it might not be. I'll take a Body Press into Hitmontop and Thunder Wave Kyogre. Target Parting Shot Kyogre. They switch it out. I get the Thunder Wave into Ogerpon as long as it connects, which it does. I thought Hitmontop might have a Sash, but with no attack on Grimmsnarl, I couldn't really cover for that anyway. Fortunately, it didn't. Kyogre's here. If they don't get fully paralyzed, they can follow me. They might get fully paralyzed. And I'll take the Body Press into Ogerpon regardless. I'll try to Thunder Wave Kyogre. Okay, they do follow me, so Thunder Wave doesn't accomplish anything. I didn't especially feel like parting shooting. Origin Pulse. Problem now... okay, this is where I'm kind of punished for not having an attack on Grimmsnarl, because I could Wide Guard to stop the Origin Pulse, but... like, then what? I guess what I can do is get Grimmsnarl off the field and get Calyrex in. Or get Incineroar in. I can Terrasilize Incineroar. Incineroar will just drop to an Origin Pulse, actually, when it comes in. Then that gets me Calyrex in safely. I guess that's the right play, sack Incineroar. Makes me sad, but... oh, well, I don't get the Parting Shot off anyway. That probably just means I lose Grimmsnarl and I get Calyrex in without sacking Incineroar, so that's nice. No more rain. I think it's probably Scarf Ogre, so the Origin Pulse will come out first if they go for it, but it'll do reduced damage without the rain. Actually, I can just Wide Guard anyway. There's not much reason not to here. Astral Barrage is pretty free. I could have Indeedee in the back. If not, then probably not going to want to switch anything in. I don't have a good switch-in candidate. I don't think Incineroar is going to get to do any work in this game, but position looks pretty strong. Independent of Incineroar. Spiky Shield Ogerpon. Maybe it's a Specs Ogre. Or they tried to Spiky Shield Ogerpon, it didn't work. I still have my Sash intact, they still have theirs. But I can Wide Guard here. Yes, they can Psychic Zamazenta, but... there's Terra Dark. Protect. Okay. They can Psychic Zamazenta, but then I get Incineroar in. How much does that really do for them? I even have Drain Punch to cover their possible Terra Dark, although I think they Terrasilized already. Oh, maybe they didn't. Anyway, didn't get Incineroar onto the field, but it, as far as I'm concerned, that counts as a win for this Incineroar set. It came to the game. Alright, Iron Hands, Fluttermane, Gastrodon, Mienshao, Incineroar, and Shadow Rider Calyrex. This is a Reg G team. They only have one restricted. I really want to lead Incineroar. I'd have to Terrasilize it to deal with Mienshao. These get Inner Focus, so it might not even be intimidated. I'd also have to Terrasilize it to deal with Gastrodon. But what am I going to not lead Incineroar? I want to see if this set can do anything. You know? Let's bring Grimmsnarl again. Put the restricteds in the back. I can switch in whichever is more advantageous. This is tough. I'm actually going to protect Incineroar to cover for a fake out here. And I'll go for Light Screen first. Because the Calyrex is threatening big damage. It's Terra Fairy, Shadow Rider, Calyrex. That's rough to deal with. Yeah, I think I'm probably just going to get knocked out by the Calyrex, but I'll go for a Thunder Wave into it. Nice, that connects. Take the close combat. They just go for another nasty plot. The problem is I don't have good offense into the Calyrex. I'll protect Incineroar here and go for Reflect. And if they start attacking with their Calyrex, the problem is they've switched to Incineroar, so they have fake out pressure on the board now. Also didn't do much to Grimmsnarl. Real shame that I don't have Spirit Break or something on this Grimmsnarl. Well, I'll go for the double. Obviously not great odds that I get it. I don't want a Parting Shot because I don't want to switch anybody in on this. There's not really anything else to do. I guess I'll just cover for them switching their Incineroar out for no reason. Obviously that doesn't work because of the Dark-type Prankster immunity, and I understood that, but I didn't have another idea. Yeah, I'm really getting burned here by this Grimmsnarl not having any attacks. That was not the right call, I think. Incineroar survives, but yeah, it doesn't survive that. Well, I tried. Good news is I don't have to worry about a speed tie this time. Bad news is I do just kind of lose my Calyrex to their Incineroar. Then I have to try to win the game with Zamazenta, I guess. They protect. Okay. Well, yeah. Once I let them get all those nasty plots, that was probably GG anyway. They're gonna knock out my Calyrex. Well, they're not because of the Sash. Actually not gonna knock out my Calyrex here, but they are making progress, obviously. I'm just spamming Thunder Wave because I don't want to switch Zamazenta in on a +4 Astral Barrage. Full para. If I knew those were coming, then I could switch Zamazenta in, but the game doesn't work like that. I say they protect their Calyrex, so I'm going to Body Press Incineroar. And I can save the Behemoth Bash for next turn. Okay, I was wrong. Thought they might want to save it and land a Will-O-Wisp or something, but no, they just knock out Grimmsnarl just as the light screen fades. There's Manshao. I can protect around its fake out, but then I lose to close combat. Oh well. Yeah, pretty hard to make bulk up Power Trip Incineroar work, huh? I don't even have leftovers. I have, I clicked Body Press. I meant to click Behemoth Bash. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would have knocked out Calyrex there, I think, but I still lose to Manshao after that. Maybe leftovers Incineroar would have worked, but well, not in this game, but maybe it would work better. I think the real thing is Grimmsnarl could have clicked Spirit Break so many times if I had it. Alright, I might be able to set up on this team, although Garganacl could make me sad. Oh, but they have all these rock type. The Terra Bug is actually really not coming in handy here. Maybe like Terra Grass or Water would have been better. I think so. Oh well. Do I need Urshifu this game? I think I'll bring it. They certainly have their share of Shadow Rider answers. Okay, that's definitely Incineroar. Because there's no there is an Intimidate. There would be no Intimidate if it were Zoroark. I'm guessing that's the real Dialga, but it could be Zoroark. Either way, I'll just go for a light screen. They can fake something out if they want. They faked out Incineroar. Dialga set Trick Room. I don't think Hisuian Zoroark gets Trick Room, so I think that's confirmed real Dialga. Maybe I'm mistaken. I'll go for Reflect first before I start clicking Parting Shot. I do think this is a Parting Shot kind of game. They go for their Parting Shot. Dark. That is annoying. I get a bulk up, but it gets me just a +1 defense. 0 attack. Oh, I get my weakness policy now, actually. That's potentially big. I can go for a Drain Punch now, maybe. I'm down to try it. And Parting Shot Dialga, that'll weaken the Earth Power. Both of these get kind of wrecked by Salt Cure. But I guess I'll go Zamazenta. They Salt Cure Incineroar, makes sense. Drain Punch does less than I'd like, but it's some damage. Flash Cannon Zamazenta. Salt Cure is doing too much. Gonna get worn down by this Garganacl, aren't I? But I'll see what I can do to wear it down. They getting intimidated into Incineroar. Oh, okay, the Drain Punch is not going to work now either. I went for Salt Cure into Zamazenta. The problem is there are many problems. They can Fake Out now, and they can Salt Cure Zamazenta pretty safely. I'll get rid of this Incineroar if they let me. They do Fake Out my Incineroar. They Salt Cure Zamazenta. I get a Body Press into their Incineroar. Trick Room ends here. They've used their Terra. If they go Dialga again, I could Body Press that. Maybe deny another Trick Room. But Incineroar is just getting worn down. I didn't even get a Bulk Up this turn. So Power Trip is still, and Drain Punch are still a little bit weakened from where they were before. Nonetheless, they might just protect Dialga here, but they might not. They don't. Oh, it survives the Body Press at 1. The Drain Punch gets the KO. No visible recovery on Incineroar, just from that 1% Dialga. But they did just use Protect on Garg, so I can Power Trip into it now. Or I can Drain Punch Tyranitar. Because a lot of Tyranitar don't run Protect, right? But I think it's actually more valuable to go for the Power Trip and the Body Press into Tyranitar. Either way, you know, Fighting type damage knocks it out. It means that I'm not going to win the game with Incineroar because it's going to go down pretty quickly now. But look at that damage from that Power Trip. Incineroar drops now to Sand damage. But Garganacl is low, and I immediately threaten it with Urshifu. I can even Terra Water, Surging Strikes, and thanks to Incineroar getting that damage on it, obviously it can't stop the Unseen Fist with Protect. Only 2 Surging hits needed. And hey, Incineroar sat on the field all through that Trick Room, meant that I didn't have to bring Urshifu in to get Salt Cured or knocked out, while the Scarf was a disadvantage. And then, you know, the Drain Punch wore the Garganacl down a little bit. The Power Trip did some big damage to open it up for that Surging Strikes KO. Urshifu might have dealt the last blow, but I would say in this game, Bulk Up Weakness Policy Incineroar kinda actually worked. You know what? It was actually pretty effective in this specific game, and that is the 3rd game with this team, and that is a good sign to call it here. I think there's no mystery as to which of these Incineroar sets were better than others. I think there's a reason the standard sets are the standard sets. Rocky Helmet, Safety Goggles, Assault Vest, those kinds of things. Fake Out, Parting Shot, Knockoff. Often Will-O-Wisp, but you can mix in like a Flare Blitz or a Helping Hand or a Snarl. Those are still the best Incineroar, but I wanted to flex Incineroar's versatility a little bit here. Just in case people didn't know about how good Incineroar is. The Choice Scarf set was really bad. I think that was the worst one in this video, but we had some fun with Nasty Plot. We certainly had some fun with Bulk Up Power Trip. And I think we gave the king of competitive Pokemon its due.